Welcome to Wicked Awesome Cast number 129.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's how you introduce the uncertain tracking website's 361st most popular gaming podcast in Sweden?
That's right. We have a standard to live up to for our Swedish fans.
I wasn't making that up. That's actually a number someone emailed us from a tracking website that we're doing okay in Sweden.
Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't we get a couple emails from Swedes?
We have. We have.
A while ago? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shout outs to the Swedes.
Yep.
But
You guys
that's-
are pretty Swede.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
No. Nope. We're not allowing that one.
We apologize to our
Oh.
Swedish listeners. Alex has been sacked from the podcast for reasons. You know the reasons.
They're all sweet, no sour.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit there.
Get it? Because
Like,
sweet and sour.
Shut up!
Oh, I'm so happy.
international audiences. Isn't the internet great?
Yes, it is. It's funny. Like when I first started this doing the podcast here with Charlie, I never would have thought that we would have gotten emails or followings from people outside the U.S. I don't know why. It was just this. That's how my small world works for some reason. But I have to say, I really appreciate all the international fans. That's pretty cool.
We continue to have a surprising following in Myanmar.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. That's super cool. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much to everybody listening in.
And Albania, for that matter. Like, it's kind of fun checking our geography chart where it's like, huh! Didn't know that country listened to video game stuff. Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get pretty good downloads all across the world. Except Antarctica. We're coming for you, Antarctica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things will definitely warm up. It's a little cool over there in that area right
shut
now.
up!
It could warm up.
Oh! God fucking damn it! We're like, what, 4 minutes into the podcast and already I'm angry at you? That's gotta
New
be a record.
This is payback for all the times you've ruined things like Pop-Tarts for me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Dessert ravioli, I've never forgotten.
Okay, that's a pretty good description.
Yes, welcome to the Wicked Awesome Cast, episode 129. I'm Charlie. Alex is the one making the terrible jokes, and Henry is still our newest, freshest face, baby face member of the podcast.
Still innocent from
You
all
can
my
shut
terrible
right
jokes.
up now, Alex.
Still innocent from all my jokes.
You can shut the hell up right now and not talk the rest of the podcast.
That's difficult to do in an audio podcast.
You've just me and Henry now. You can sit here and submit an audio file at the end of this recording, but no more words out of you.
Fine, I'm gonna go get Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I will be back. I'm not actually going.
Seriously.
I know.
Oh man, I'm out of milk, so I can't really enjoy any.
Oh.
I'm gonna go walk to the store after this podcast and buy some milk because I'll be damned if I'm not gonna enjoy some Cinnamon Toast Crunch on my day off.
I like how that's the thing that stops you on this one.
That's my highlight
It's
of the day.
just milk.
Well, I mean, I'll throw it down. I'm gonna eat it dry too. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is a good dry cereal too.
I agree. It is one of those ones that's one you can munch on. It's actually kind of nice to munch on.
I have seen
Some
way
of the
too many
others-
food hack videos featuring Cinnamon Toast Crunch lately.
I guess I now know they exist.
Well, no, I mean food hack videos in the sense of, like, if you take a bag of something and beat the shit out of it into a powder, you can then use it to make other things, which is cool, except my brain goes, or you could just, I don't know, fill a bag with cinnamon and sugar.
Yeah. That seems like an extra step.
Mm-hmm.
Unnecessary extra step.
I just picture some, like, French chef being like, we will make this fancy French and cinnamon. We will make this fucking cake. I'm not doing the accent anymore. Bring me the cereal from General Mills. Sir, we have the cereal!
Yep. Only the finest.
Only the finest, yes. You put it in the blender and you grind it up, and then you suddenly have 2 base ingredients again.
Well, that's even better. You use a blender instead of like a food processor. You just throw it in a blender. Just throw cereal in a blender.
I have a coworker that I want to shut up. I tell him I grind coffee beans in a blender, and he doesn't know how to respond to that.
Oh, you're gonna set somebody off with that for sure.
Yeah.
It's a really good blender.
I'm sure it is.
It's got a just like dust setting.
I use the ice cube setting, actually. Yeah.
There you go. But yes, that's just a preview of our food cast. Normally, though, we are a video game podcast.
Yes, we are in theory.
It's been an interesting week. I think leading up to a holiday. I mean, I know we have Thanksgiving coming up.
Sure.
So it's been highs and lows this week, I think.
I prefer to smoke turkey.
Oh, you're going to smoke a turkey this year?
No, I'm not allowed to, because there's fire hazards around my place still.
Oh,
we have not talked about the ridiculous amount of ash I keep sweeping up at my place.
Oh, wow.
All those fires for a couple, last weekend and the weekend before that, I think, were just dumping ash on my property. And I'm like, man, this is not okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
We've actually gotten the smoke from all the fires up here in Oregon. We got a hazard warning because of all that smoke.
We're not that far away from San Francisco in the grand spectrum of things.
Yeah.
Unless I'm thinking of Seattle's south or north of Portland again. Which one is it?
Seattle's north of Portland.
Yeah. For a long time I thought it went California, Oregon, Washington. I've learned.
That is the order.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. Sorry.
No. Washington is north.
Yeah, Washington is north of me. I'm in the middle between both California and Washington.
Hey, you're not that far from San Francisco in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
No, I'm not super far. I know I'm farther from San Fran than you guys are, though.
Are you?
Yes, because I know...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because what's it called? Let's see. LA to San Francisco is what? Almost
8 hours.
8 hours? Yeah. I think I'm past
and it's
that.
way further than that for me to get... All right, so I took a train down from Portland to here one time.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the train's going to be a little slower, but it was a 30-hour ride? Yeah, 30-hour train ride.
It's not as big a difference I think y'all are thinking. So, maybe this is the difference. Google Maps thinks it is, we'll call it 6 hours from LA to San Francisco, which is a lie. But it thinks it's about, I think the average driving of that for most people is closer to 8 hours. It's 9 hours from Portland, which maybe that gets extended, or maybe that's actually 9 hours at that point. I don't know.
9 hours and 49 minutes, according to, for about 635 miles, give or take.
Yeah.
So, it's not that much different, but
that's way farther north in Oregon than I thought it was, too. I thought that was more south.
Yeah, no, Portland's right on the northern border between Washington and Oregon. It's right up there. You can cross a bridge and hit Washington, no problem.
All this geography talk does not work well on an audio-based podcast. Visualize the map.
Well, we found our thumbnail for the week. It's just going to be a map of us on the coast.
I'm not making that.
All right, fair enough.
That's nowhere near as artistically challenging as last week's.
Last week's was pretty glorious.
Last week's was absolutely glorious.
Not just Doug Trio, the Aloha Doug Trio.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as the Hanson Brothers Trio.
I will hear no ill will spoken of glorious golden-maned Doug Trio for no reason whatsoever.
They're like, all right, so, other ones, Lola forums were just like, all right, okay, I can kind of see that. Executor got the weirdest one by being
I fucking love that one, too.
Long. Yeah, they're just like, just make this one long and give this other one hair.
Well, the palm tree at that point. It makes sense from a genetic standpoint. It evolved to get the things in the trees, and...
Yeah. But then you just have hair. The Doug Trio just with hair.
Well, that Doug Trio obviously surfs and vapes, so it has to have hair.
Yeah.
Often at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of those. Somebody that can do both at the same time.
That sounds like a great way to get eaten by a shark and electrocuted at the same time.
Yep.
Shocking.
Or.
Yeah. What have you been up to, Henry, to get us away from Alex's bad jokes?
I played an odd game called Manual Samuel.
Okay.
And the way it works is you control each limb individually.
Go on.
Like manually. So essentially the purpose of the game is he dies, and in order to get to survive, Death makes a deal with him and says, if you can survive one day running your body manually, then I'll let you live. And so what happens? So
WAP style thing.
Yeah, a bit, but easier than QWOP.
Okay.
Definitely way easier than QWOP. But yeah, like the triggers are your legs, the bumpers are your arms, and then like you have a button to breathe in, a button to breathe out, a button to straighten out your back so you don't just slouch over like a corpse. And yeah, and then like yeah, so I mean that's kind of the game. You just have also blink. There's a blink button too. So yeah, there's breathing and blinking buttons.
What does the blink button get you except lubricated eyes?
Well, if you don't blink, then you start to not be able to see anything.
Okay, it's actually mechanic. That's cool.
Yeah, actually, everything starts to get really hazy and you can't see anything. Eventually, the narrator will just say, "Blink." What are you doing?
Okay, so there's a narrator. Is this kind of in the style of the Stanley Parabola, or is this more serious?
It's in the style. It's a humorous style.
Okay.
It's absolutely humorous style. But yeah, it does remind me a lot of those sort of physics-based games that are sort of have the odd or unique kind of controls. Like I played Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy not too long ago. Actually some months ago. But that's another sort of heavily physics-based game that has very, very strange controls. If any of you haven't played it, give it a try.
Dabbled.
It's cheap and it's terrible. And it's supposed to be terrible. Well, terrible in the way that it's just like, haha, you want to beat this game? That's not how it works.
Yeah, but you can get good at that game too, which is really unnerving.
Oh, there's a speed run for it.
Yeah.
The speed run is like in minutes. It's crazy. But yeah, I played that game. I got relatively high, decent. But yeah, Manual Samuel is kind of in that same vein. It has these unusual controls, and it's just for instance, if you try to walk with the same foot twice in a row, you just do the splits. You just end up kicking your leg out further.
So, is it first person or third person?
It's side scrolling.
Okay, yeah. So with the eye thing, I'm like, maybe it's first person. That'd be an interesting take on the game. It makes sense that it's kind of a side scroller though too.
So I played through that. Played a good bit of Dead by Daylight recently. I hadn't been playing that recently. I guess it got kind of I guess Halloween going by made me a little remembered actually that I own the game and that I like to play the game. I don't have all of the DLC for it, but I definitely have the DLC that includes Michael Myers, which is pretty awesome. And as I mentioned before, I went and watched the new Halloween recently, and that's super good. And so I got to play some Dead by Daylight where, you can play as Laurie Strode or Michael Myers.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dead by Daylight. I really like the game a lot. But it is a lot better if you can do the game mode, which is survive with friends. That is, you go online.
Yeah.
If you know anybody else that plays it, that does make it a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, no, that mode is a lot of fun. I've played it quite a few times. Yeah.
I've heard that game has pug problems.
What?
Pickup games, it doesn't work quite as well if you don't know the people.
Yeah. But the thing is, in the game itself, you can't communicate. There's no voice thing built into the game, and that's purposeful.
Yeah.
You kind of communicate using all the emotes, essentially. Yeah, and that's very purposeful. That's very, very specific in their design for the game that they did that.
That sounds about right, and it does make sense.
Yeah, and so it is kind of against the spirit of the game if you do decide to like voice chat, but I kind of like to open up the voice chat thing. I mean, and you could, because you don't necessarily have to be cheating, that is, trying to, telling people where you are, or telling people where the killer is. Or you can just be like, you're just kind of chatting during the game, and that's also fun.
Mm-hmm.
Also fun to hear people's, responses whenever they do get found by the killer, or just something weird happens.
Yeah, I think it'd be funny just to hear people freak the fuck out. That's the part that I enjoy.
Yeah, so last night ran into one of the newer killers, the Spirit. This is sort of this crazy-looking ghost one. Well, I think that is the newest killer. I think the Spirit is the newest killer. You said you've played it. How long ago did you play it?
This was a while ago, but it was definitely around the time when they already had the Michael Myers expansion for it. So, I mean, it's definitely fun, but it's been a while. And I only really play it with friends. That's the only time I actually play it. I haven't done anything solo or anything like that. It's always been with friends. So,
allegedly, there's the new one coming next month, and then kind of early next year.
New expansion,
new killers.
Yeah,
the nurse is my favorite. I love the nurse character.
I'm not sure which killer I like best, because I don't know. They're all pretty interesting. I mean, the nurse, the doctor's pretty rad too, I have to say.
Herman Carter.
Yeah, the doctor, with the whole shocking thing, that's pretty wild.
It's weird. So I looked this list up, and there's a tier list for what the best killers are based on powers, which I think is ridiculous. But
but it is true. The thing is, and this is why I give them a lot of credit. Game balancing in general is very difficult. An asymmetrical game like Dead by Daylight is even more so, because it's so easy to accidentally weight something too heavily towards either the killers or the survivors.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
They've had just endless tweaks to it, trying to keep some sort of a balance. Like last night when I was playing, it just seemed like not a lot of people were playing Survivor. It seemed like a lot more people were playing Killer.
Well, I figure that's
yeah.
I feel like that's just a thing.
Well, it goes up and down, definitely. Depending on how people feel about the game balance. Mm-hmm. You'll see more people playing Killer, or if there's a new killer, everybody will play the new killer. Because the killer will start out a little bit overpowered, most likely.
Are you implying game balance is hard?
Or they'll come out and be way underpowered, and they've done that too. They've come out with a killer and it just seems like, it's not actually a great killer. And then they have to tweak it a bit to actually make it.
Oh, it turns out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that, and I mean that's the thing. Is just in an asymmetrical game like this, it's just I don't envy them their job of game balance. It's just always going to be.
Yeah. That was always Evolve's issue was it was kind of fun if you were playing the monster, unless you were playing against a team that was way too well coordinated, and then it wasn't fun to play as the monster, but then you were on the team, they weren't as well coordinated.
Yeah. I never played that.
I think Dead by Daylight, and to a lesser extent, but still in the same vein, Friday the 13th do a better job of making that kind of unbalanced multiplayer fun. Evolve was weird. Mostly because the amount of unlocking you had to do in that game was problematic.
What do you mean unlocking?
So all of the non-monster characters were all different classes, kind of Team Fortress 2 style, but there were variants on kind of your healer, your tanker, etc., etc., and you had to unlock all of them through a kind of not so great progression system.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the progression system for Dead by Daylight is very grindy. It can take some serious time if you want to level somebody up, especially if you want to get what's called their teachable perks.
Sure, I think the difference here is do the survivors all kind of play roughly the same?
No, they all have different perks, don't they?
Yeah, very different perks. So definite.
I'm talking like equipment,
speed,
weapons, and stuff like that.
There's no equipment, no weapons.
Yeah.
Or there's equipment. Everybody gets the same equipment, but there's nothing unique to anybody.
That's where Evolve was different. Everyone had perks aside. Everyone had different weapons and stuff. So you'd have I think there was 3 or 4 healers in that game by the end, and it worked by either kind of a heal gun, healing grenades, or I don't heal you, I'll just resurrect you when you die. So they were very different changes on how that game played depending on what healer you were playing with. And then certain other characters worked better with certain healers, etc., etc. Like, it was a weird thing. And the game forced you to have certain team compositions, but not all of the different characters in that tier had the same kind of viability. Like, the Hunter class was weird, where you had... They changed the game ultimately to make it so everyone could throw this down. The Hunters could cast this thing called Mobile Arena, but I don't think it was all of the Hunters. It was just a handful of them, and it was weird. Like, it was a cool idea, but it just didn't work because there were definitely like better and worse characters for certain class types that, like, oh, you haven't unlocked this yet? Yeah, we don't want to play with you.
Well, there's a reason why, especially in the asymmetrical games, they've tried to limit the amount of people you can pick from.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, and that's the thing I fear about Dead by Daylight is the cast is going to grow so big that balancing it is going to become invariably impossible.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you see with games with very large tiers, larger the very large rosters. The larger the roster, the more tiers there are of good versus not as effective. I mean, just look at Smash Brothers, Street Fighter series, any of those, and yeah, they're because the bigger the cast, the more obvious variance there is between some of the best characters and some.
I, for one, cannot wait to see the fucking tier list for the new Smash Brothers, considering there's 70-something fucking characters on that list.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, all right, so there again, like, I really, really, really don't envy the person trying to balance that game. But it's not like they've ever tried to balance a Smash Brothers ever.
Oh, they do.
Really? No.
The most recent one got balance patches that people were not happy with occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the thing. The game it's just too many characters to try to balance. So yeah, in that game you just got to be, well, there's tiers and you're just got to deal with it. And which I think is kind of, I mean, for me, that actually is the thing that turned me away from the game. Because when I play a fighting game, I like to pick a character that I just kind of like. I like the way they play, or I like their style. I like, whatever, something about the play style of the particular character. And then I learned that, oh yeah, they're like a bottom tier character. It's like, well, that's great. I'd never be able to use this character to beat anybody.
I don't know. There are some times when people make low tier characters work really well, which I've always been super stoked about to see happen.
Yeah, I see that occasionally. I've not seen that in Smash Brothers.
Duck Hunt Dog did weirdly okay at the last Evo, I think.
Yeah, there was a dude who did really well with a low tier character at Smash Brothers. He didn't make it to the end,
but then there was that Bayo match at the end that reminded me why I don't like competitive Smash. But
yeah, well, that character's also just broken dog shit.
I vote we buff Bayo in the new Smash Brothers.
No, I think the top tier should just be Isabelle, and that's it.
I'm okay with this too, but only if you give her Bayo's moveset. Get that witch time going for Isabelle. That and Ice Climbers. Gives Ice Climbers Bayo's moveset too. How about this? Give everyone Bayonetta's moveset so no one can complain.
I cannot wait to fucking see Ice Climbers in this current generation.
Oh, my favorite part of one of the commercials anyway is you have the Ice Climbers and Kirby straight up, well, does this Kirby thing and eats one of them, and the other one is just horrified. Has the most horrified look on their face.
Yeah.
It's like, Kirby is terrifying.
Yeah.
Kirby is basically the Thing, like John Carpenter's The Thing. He really is.
Mm.
He can mimic anybody by swallowing you and absorbing you. That seems like terrifying. I mean, Kirby is body horror.
That's why Kirby is top tier Smash.
Yeah, Kirby is, and that's why he's the only one that survives the Great Purge.
Yeah.
Because he's the monster.
Yeah. He's already
he's
evil.
like
He doesn't need to be made evil.
He's basically a Cthulhian monster.
Yeah, no.
That's it's just he's a Lovecraftian monster. He's a total Lovecraftian monster. It's just they just put him in kind of cutesy surroundings, but it's just he's an absolute terror.
He is known in the old tongue as that hungers for all.
Yeah, endless hunger. Yeah, that's
personified in the Catholic myth as gluttony and greed.
Yeah, Kirby is not shaped like a friend. He is shaped like a fiend.
Yes.
I've never been a big fan of Smash Brothers. I've played some of the iterations over the years, but it's kind of obvious I'm not a fan of that. Don't at me.
This podcast stance on Smash Brothers has been well documented over the years. We don't know what we think. Yeah. Yeah, and sorry, but I'll say this though: the League of Legends, like how many characters there are in that's beyond all ability to comprehend anything. I don't even remember how many there are, but they're getting to the number of Pokemon. No.
Yeah, it's in the hundreds.
There's more than... Yeah, but that's like saying, 100 is close to 700. I think that's where we're at with Pokemon.
I think
There's 137 at this time League of Legends characters.
That's a lot of characters, though, you have to admit.
It would cost you roughly, apparently, $1,500 to buy all of the characters and all of the skins available.
Wow.
That's less than I thought it was going to be.
That's still... Oh, wow. Yeah, I actually do have 2 characters on there. I used to play League of Legends. I bought 2 of them.
I played League of Legends this week.
Oh, yeah?
We'll talk about that later.
Ha.
Anything else, or?
No, that's pretty much
Fair
it.
enough. Guess I'll go next. I'm not sure where to start with my week. I own one less motorcycle now, which is cool. I managed to sell one of my motorcycles, which is good, in the process of getting rid of that. But mostly I've been playing a mix of Hitman 2 and Red Dead Redemption still. Mostly Hitman 2. That game is more Hitman, and I love it for it.
Oh, good. It's actually because they've had a few bad versions of the game.
Yeah. Did you play the last version at all?
So. No.
The last version is a masterpiece of what that type of game can be, where it's not really a stealth game, it's not really kind of a sandbox murder simulator. It's a beautiful clockwork puzzle toy with multiple ways of reaching the end, and it's about figuring out what clockwork mechanism you want to work with, and the second one is just more of that first one with a couple modifications that, you can hide in grass now, which is a thing for stealth games that's been around for fucking ever, but it's new to Hitman. It's a huge game-changing revelation about that game. It's like, holy shit, this is different and new and changes some of these levels in drastic ways.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, Hitman 2 is real good. At least the version I got came with all of the Hitman 1 levels in it, which is awesome because I got real bad at Hitman in the 2 years since that game last really updated, and as a result went through and played through some of the older missions to kind of remember how the fuck to play that game. And yeah, it's a little bit weird because Hitman 2 kind of assumes you played Hitman 1 maybe a little bit too much, because those new levels are a lot harder than the majority of the Hitman 1 levels were. So if you're thinking about picking this up, maybe start with the Hitman 1 story arc and then do the Hitman 2 story arc. They're both good story arcs. At the same time, I actually care about the story of Hitman 2. I want to know where the story goes. It's intriguing and doing stuff, which is weird to say about a Hitman game.
Yeah, I like the Hitman series. I think it's a really cool series. What about the movie though?
Which one? There's 2.
There's 2.
Yeah.
I watched one.
Which one?
The one with Timothy.
Was he the hero or the bad guy?
He is the good guy.
Okay, that's the first one. The second one has Hitman as the antagonist, which works better. Or Agent 47.
I guess it works fine either way, I guess. It's kind of interesting to have him as the antagonist, though. That seems kind of weird.
It's a cool take. Well, he is the antagonist. Like, Agent 47 is a bad guy, as these games will frequently remind you.
Yeah, that is true. You're just basically an assassin. You're a murderer.
Yep. Sometimes these people deserve it. Sometimes they're just kind of going about their way. I'm about halfway through the content for like the new content, the Hitman 2 content. Yeah, I'm digging it so far. If you liked Hitman 1, it's definitely worth checking out. I can't really talk about it much because it's Hitman. It's like, oh, what was it like? I killed the guy by pushing him down an elevator shaft, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's such a great game, and yeah, the plots for them has generally been pretty engaging.
Yeah, the one for, I guess, the first part of the reboot, I call Hitman 1 in this case, was kind of, it sets some dominoes up. This one actually makes me care about those dominoes to the point where I get the impression it's not resolved by the end of Hitman 2, so I care about Hitman 3, apparently. My one criticism of the game probably is Hitman 1 was done episodically. Hitman 2 is you have all the missions right off the bat, and I kind of miss the episodic nature because I felt no pressure to move on from a map. Like it's weird. I'll replay a map a couple times to see some stuff, but then I move on because I want to see the rest of the story. I liked how the episodic one just kind of gave me time to live in each one of the levels and kind of really get to know them. And maybe I'll go back, maybe I won't. I don't know, but it's still a really good game.
Yeah, I think it's very satisfying. It's an extremely satisfying game to me, personally. It's just the mechanics of the game, when they work really well.
Yeah, and
the whole stealth mechanic thing, and even just the ability you track people going through their day. You have to figure out it's a puzzle solving game when it comes down to.
Well, and if you've never played the first of the two reboots, this one is kind of it. The first reboot really tightens down on what makes Hitman fun, the idea of what a good Hitman is. The second one kind of expands on that by going, yo, here's more of what we were good at for it in some new locales. And there's not as many locations as there was in the first part of the reboot, but they feel bigger and more involved and like there's more stuff in them. So, and all the old levels are there too, so cool. Yeah, I'm really digging Hitman. I'm glad we got a second Hitman. I hope we get a third Hitman. I'd love it if they went back to the episodic nature. Like if Hitman 3 was just season 2 of Hitman 2, I'd be really okay with that because it turns out I really enjoyed the episodic nature of Hitman 1, which is weird to say because I'm not normally a fan of episodic games necessarily. But on the other end of the spectrum, I finally got around to watching that KDA music video from League of Legends, the K-pop one starring 4 of the legends from League, and that made me play League twice, and I remember why I stopped playing League, but I have played League again. The first time in like 2 years.
They just released some skins, right? That's what it is.
I'm not sure which one's driving which, but that music video thing is way better than it has any right to be. Like, it's genuinely... It's different, but it's kind of up there in that tier of the Overwatch get to know the character trailers, and just the level of detail that went into doing what it's doing is impressive. It's not the same scope, definitely, but it's very well done. I don't know if the Diva skins are driving the video or the video's driving the skins. I'd assume they're kind of part of the same marketing ploy, but this kind of gets me in that same way that Elite Tauren Chieftain did, which was I like video game characters doing not video game character things, like being in a band.
Yeah.
They're still in the game, too, which is the funny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I enjoy things like this where it's like, hey, it's a band made of video game characters. That's dumb. Yeah. Yeah, it is. and I dig it. I think I need, Jeff to explain this one to me. It's partially because I'm too lazy to look up who the characters are in the trailer, and I'm like, does knowing these characters make it better or worse? Do I just genuinely like this video? Do I like K-pop now? I'm confused.
Yeah, you officially are a K-pop fan now.
Don't think so, but I have watched this video way more times than I probably should have. And it accomplished the goal of I logged into League of Legends again for the first time in like 2 fucking years. I was like, hey, I don't like this game still. Respect this game, but I'm not a huge fan of MOBAs still. Yeah. That's been on mine. What have you been up to, Alex?
I actually had a really slow week. I didn't really do much. The neighbor stuff has kind of just calmed down, so nothing new on that end. I will say, I think the one thing this week that I've kind of just hit me a little harder than anything else was Stan Lee passing away.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I thought that happened several weeks ago, but you're right, that happened this week.
Yeah, no, that was this week. So I think of anything this week, that's the one thing that kind of really messed with me a bit. Just because, like, I grew up. I know it's weird to assume that a lot of people grew up with it, but like I feel like it's made a significant impact, at least in my life, as far as the stories go. Like, I used to go.
Like the last decade, where you've had Marvel kind of busting open to pop culture too. I think people are more aware of who Stan Lee were in some ways than previously.
Yeah. So it was actually kind of interesting because I came in the next day after I heard the news that he had passed away, and one of the guys at work knew. I mean, I'm just a big like nerd for Marvel and all that stuff. He had left a post-it and just like put "Rip Stan Lee" on it, just on my desk. I was like, oh yeah, they know. But yeah, I think that's the one thing I've just kind of been like meh about, especially because like I used to on my birthday. I luck out, and my birthday tends to be around the time when they release some of the big blockbusters for Marvel films and things like that too. So like I remember going on my birthday all by myself to the movies just because I could, and so I would just enjoy them all by myself. So it's gonna be a little bit weird, definitely bittersweet. I'm not big on the whole celebrity death stuff, but I think there's only been 2 in my life that have kind of been like, oh, yeah, then that's kind of a thing, and I feel weird about. Stan Lee being one of them, and then the other one was Robin Williams, so. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it was an alright week. It was a short work week and all that, and I get another work week that's short this week, because holidays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, other than that, everything's alright.
Your girlfriend's Facebook posts about Red Dead Redemption are amazing.
She's playing the shit out of that game. So I am so glad because she actually gets to sit back and enjoy a game because, it's a game.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I've definitely she makes all these great posts, and I definitely appreciate her having some time to actually play the games and all that. So
yeah.
I avoid watching some of it just because I want to see what happens. So she's further ahead than I am.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's not hard. You're barely into the game at all.
Yeah, I'm barely into the game, but she has fun. I like hearing her get frustrated and yell from the room sometimes because she gets killed trying to steal oil. Some sort of like
that mission fucking sucks. I know the exact mission, and I wound up cheating at it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you end up actually cheating on it?
I just killed everyone in that compound.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that's cheating per se.
You're supposed to like leap the fence and grab it, and eventually I even at that point in the game, I had way too much money, so it's like I have a pump action shotgun. Let's just go murder everyone who gets in my way real quick, shall we?
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
Solid round, sniper with a shotgun, 1-hit kills. Oh, no one's here to stop me. That's cute. Dead.
Yeah, I've definitely done missions in games like that where it's just like, I have enough firepower here. They've kind of made me overpowered already. I can just roll in and just actually lay waste to everything.
I definitely had a moment last night where the game was like, oh, you should do this stealthily. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do it loud, motherfuckers. I'm gonna dual wield these double action revolvers and just kill all y'all. Murder.
Yep. But nope, these games aren't murder simulators at all.
The life of a cowboy. The life of a cowboy, damn it. And we got anything else from the week's perspective? Is it time for news, that means?
Yeah, I think it is time for news.
Alright! News, Alex. Give us the intro. That's right. Channel your sadness. Channel it! That's more like it.
There you go. But yeah, what do we got here?
All right.
Let's see.
Bit of a weird news week, because all the news seemed to happen last week, and stuff, if you will. Right off the back, we got the Detective Pikachu movie trailer.
That movie trailer looks way better than it
That
should.
trailer looks fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty hyped for it.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, I'm pretty hyped for
It
that.
looks incredibly dumb in the way the World of Warcraft movie was not, and I am so down for it.
Yeah, it's great that it's obviously not taking itself overly seriously.
I wasn't totally sold on the trailer until you have the Pikachu talking about how only the kid can hear him. It's Ryan fucking Reynolds' voice from Deadpool. And they quick cut to the Pikachu voice. It's like, Pika Pika, yeah, Pika Pika. And he's like, see, motherfuckers? I'm like, yes!
And you know what else? A little Easter egg there. That's the original voice of Pikachu that they got.
Yeah, no, I was impressed.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I watched it and I was like, okay, this is...
Yeah. I wasn't prepared to like that trailer as much as I did.
And like, and that like, it's funny because if you explain the premise to someone, like, this is a movie where Ryan Reynolds voices Pikachu, you'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? And then you watch it, it's like, no.
Of course.
This
No,
is...
it's obvious. That's the way it's always supposed to be.
Yeah. But it's good.
So you're familiar with the game it's based off of, right?
No.
Okay, so the movie is pretty inspired by the game. Like, the game is based around a Pikachu that speaks English somehow and fucking solves crimes and, like, is a detective. And so it's like, you're starting off from a weird basis and then you're taking it to, oh, yeah, we're just giving it Ryan Reynolds' voice instead of, like, I don't know. Like, I know people really wanted Danny DeVito, but I don't think Danny DeVito would have gotten you what you wanted. Like, but at the same time, like, giving it Vin Diesel's voice would have been just as funny as Ryan Reynolds in my mind. Like, that hard-boiled, like, yeah, I'm fucking Pikachu, what of it?
Yeah.
That would be pretty good.
Like, there are so many better places you could have taken it than Danny DeVito that have been so much weirder. Just, like, give it Sylvester Stallone for a voice actor or something, so it's, like, just fucking hard-boiled. I've seen some stuff, man. Ever watch an executor kill a Mr. Mime with his feet before? I have.
Although, if Pikachu would say things like, oh, I dropped my monster condom that I used for my Magnum dong, I think that'd be kind of
That's
funny.
not
in
going to
his
happen,
voice.
though, too. I think people confuse who Danny DeVito is with who Danny DeVito plays on Is Always Sunny. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That voice is only kind of so funny. It's what he says that makes it funny.
Yeah.
Like, Pikachu's not going to say that. Shut the fuck up. Stop being like, oh, no, it's not. Like, give him Gilbert Gottfried or something like that, where it's like, yeah, I'm Detective Pikachu. My voice is off-putting now.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of funny.
That would be hard for an entire movie, though.
Yeah, no,
To be perfectly honest.
I-
That would be rough.
I think they made a right choice. Like, as much as the internet was all like, fuck, we want Danny DeVito. This seems funnier.
Yeah, and also, I can stand to hear his voice for an entire movie.
Yeah.
That's important. Otherwise, that'd be one rough movie to get through. If it was Gilbert Gottfried's voice for the main character.
Yeah.
For the and Gilbert Gottfried doing his Gilbert Gottfried voice.
Just fucking do Yago from Aladdin the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shards of glass directly into your ear at that point.
Yeah, that's not something I can stand. So I think that might have been what they were thinking, somebody with a very pleasant voice.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong on this assessment. If they're like, hey, who has a good voice? Ryan Reynolds. Fuck it. Will you do a kids movie? Yes. Is it a weird kids movie? Oh, yes. The weirdest in some ways.
Yeah, pretty bizarre. But yeah, I can't believe how well it works. I do have to say, Mr. Mime should not be made. That's
See, I
terrifying.
fucking love super realistic Pokemon because they reveal how creepy that world actually is.
Oh yeah, the world is terrifying. Yeah. The world is absolutely like it's a terror house. I mean, it's like it's unimaginably horrible.
Yeah, I like everyone's like, oh, it's so cute. I'm like, no, there are people with fucking dragons everywhere. Like, what's it called? Electrode and the other one, the two explodey ones. It's like, no, they Voltorb. Yeah, it's like those things fucking explode. Do you know what the world would be like if there was just an animal that naturally was like, yo, we threw a bunch in the room. What happens? They blow the fuck up.
Yeah, it's any of those. Most of those animals, most of the Pokemon, the finding of them would be. Some of their abilities are just like, that's terrible. That's a terrible thing. That shouldn't be a thing that a child's pet should be able to do.
Oh no, the world of Pokemon is ripe for like a Monster Hunter crossover, where it's like, oh, we put these in balls. Why are you not chopping off their heads? They are obviously dangerous.
Or a crossover with my favorite crossover would be Pokemon with Fallout.
Yeah, kind of the same thing, where it's like, this is obviously a dragon. No, it's my pet. Obviously a dragon.
Obviously a dragon. Obviously a Deathclaw.
Yeah. It has a move called Iron Tail. Yeah, it turns its tail into iron, smashes things. You don't see the danger of that?
And the danger of putting it in the hands of a small child. A child, they like get angry and they incinerate their school with their giant dragon. Or with their Pokemon god, like they have Arceus. And they just say, Arceus, just banish that thing. Just make that thing not exist.
I don't want homework ever again.
Yeah, there's some terrifying implications of the Pokemon universe.
That are perfect for Dune.
And I'm glad that we're going to get the movie to explore that.
Yep, I am too. The Pokemon franchise has been too wholesome for too fucking long.
There's this YouTuber named ProZD. He's like a really deep.
Oh, I know his
Asian
shit,
dude.
I'm familiar with that guy.
He's done actually a Detective Pikachu parody video. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
but it's got that like old 80s detective or like era Private Eye.
Yep.
Yeah, we're all monsters, Jake.
The best one I've seen in that category is it was a comic that was. It was just like shots of a crime scene, and it ends with Detective Pikachu being like, so when you got to retire, Detective Pikachu? Not till we catch them all, bitch. And I'm like, oh, that's okay.
Oh, that's good. That has to be somewhere in the movie. Somehow they have to figure out a way to say it. Yeah, they gotta figure out to say it.
That's how you end it and set it up for the sequel. Like half the bad guys escape or something, and Detective Pikachu busts out a cigar and lights it and goes, well, human sidekick, we can't rest till we catch them all, and then puts that cigarette out on the bad guy's face, because it's a detective now.
Not until we're the very best.
Yeah, that one was great.
Yeah.
That movie, I can't believe I like that trailer so much.
I was prepared to be like, oh, this looks stupid, and came out going, yeah, I want to see this movie. It looks bad in that good way.
Yeah, I did not expect that. To expect that reaction from myself.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, speaking of things I sure as hell didn't expect this week, how close do you two follow Cliffy B's Twitter?
Not really.
I don't follow his Twitter, but I like hearing his adventures, and I saw that article recently about what he said.
Yes. So to kind of recap the saga of Cliffy B, or Cliff Blazinski, as his more professional name would have you believe he's called, even though we all know he's the Cliffy B. He was that guy behind that Lawbreakers game that didn't do so great when it came out, and behind that intriguing but didn't ultimately go anywhere kind of Battle Royale game. He's been taking some time off from video games, and it may appear that Cliffy B is kind of done with video games. Some angry tweets were running around, and his response was, I'm just fucking done. I guess he tried to write by his company after they folded, after Lawbreakers didn't do great, and a lot of fans were mad that they didn't get their money back, which I understand, but also at the same time, you got to pay your employees. So, you paid for something knowing it was kind of a gamble to a certain extent. So,
Well, all right. So, unpopular opinion. I think he's way overrated.
I don't disagree.
Extremely overrated.
I don't disagree. I liked last thing he worked on. I liked was Gears of War, and that was kind of back in the Attitude era of video games, if you will.
Yeah. I'm not actually a fan of Gears of War. I thought they were kind of boring shooters.
Oh, I like cover shooters.
I don't.
Yes.
I really don't. And I don't like the fact that its palette looked like it was just different shades of mud.
Yeah, that was also that time period, though, too, where every video game kind of looked like mud. We were making a big deal of that. So it's like, this game has blue in it. Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, all right. So he's leaving done with video games.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, all right. It's not like he made anything really of. I mean, I guess God of War.
Unreal Tournament.
Yeah, I mean, but how much did he actually really work on?
I think it's unfair to kind of write Cliff Bleszinski off as not a major player in the video game industry. Like, he was involved in Bulletstorm at one Unreal Tournament. Like, this guy has a repertoire of games that you may not like, but were influential on the grand spectrum of kind of PC shooters up to the modern era of video games. Like, it's like, whether you care for it or not, Unreal Tournament was a very big deal to me growing up. Like, and I'm not talking like just the first one. I'm talking up until they made Unreal Tournament 3, which was like, man, okay, this is a choice. Like, Gears of War, also a major game in the industry. A bunch of games ripped that thing off, unfortunately, for years. He's the guy behind Unreal.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, it's just, I guess the fact is I've never really been a fan of his games.
Yeah.
And so I never really cared for the mark he's left.
No, and that's a completely fair thing, but I think it's also, like, the man brought us Jazz Jackrabbit 2. We have to respect that legacy. Well.
Yeah. All right, so that's the game I can get behind. If he would have produced more of those, I'd be a big fan.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking forward to the Lawbringers expansion, personally.
You will continue to look forward to it forever.
Yeah. I will say I do feel bad a little bit for him because his Battle Royale, or his take on the Battle Royale genre was actually pretty good. Like, his whole, like, it's a game show thing, you can ride bikes around and all this and that. Like, it was an interesting perspective on it. It's a shame it just didn't take off.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying, like, the guy's had some public issues over the years. Like, he's kind of had a bit of an attitude to him that either you dug or you didn't. But this guy's been a big public face in the video game industry. Like, he's up there in that kind of Kojima-esque sphere of, we don't have lots of game design celebrities, and whether you like his, like, maybe he's the Michael Bay of that category, but
yeah,
he still makes a shit ton of money.
Description. That's a very good description.
He still left an impact on the gaming industry that is important. Yeah. Like again, Gears of War, like it or not, like that was the first major cover shooter to do what that game did, and Chainsaw Bayonets.
Yeah,
like if you go back and look at kind of like the big like keynote Microsoft franchises, I like Gears of War more than Halo because it was a little bit out there and had like the Unreal Tournament style. Hey, we got weird guns. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah, I not much more to say on this. We'll see if this sticks. I feel like this has been a claim he's made once or twice in the past, so we'll see. Moving on from that, Sunset Overdrive, a game that was an Xbox One launch title, is officially coming to the PC. It's not super of note by itself, but more in this kind of hints at what the plans for, and the announced plans for that matter, not just kind of the fictitious kind of interpreted plans for the PC version of what the Xbox kind of Game Pass are going to be. Because this is a game lots of people have wanted for a chunk of time. I've played it. It's an interesting idea. There's some cool kind of physics stuff going on. I thought the game's attitude was trying way too fucking hard, but I could also imagine some of the people that like this game like it because The game fucking says at one point, like towards the end, oh, they'd kill us on what's that video game forum that just shut down a couple months ago? Not 4chan. Fuck, I'm blanking on the name.
Which one?
We talked about on this podcast. It was one of the forum websites for video games.
E-Bombs World?
No.
Newgrounds?
No. We talked about it in depth. Maybe this is kind of a lesson in how like permanent the internet is in people's memories. It got shut down.
Something awful?
No. They have an F or something.
I'm drawing.
I don't remember. That's telling. But basically, the game references kind of internet video game culture a lot for my taste. But it was a cool idea for the game. But it's definitely coming. If you own it, though, you won't have access to it automatically. You still have to buy the PC version. It appears to be listed at $20. But yeah,
that's not bad. Well, this is a game company without tons of games, but they've put out some real bangers. Like, well, one of them we mentioned last time, Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's Insomniac. They did the Infamous franchise and stuff. They have a good track record. It's Sunset Overdrive is a cool idea that I think it is hard to talk about Sunset Overdrive without like really talking about Sunset Overdrive. Like it takes you grind and wall run around that game. Like it's got kind of the floor is lava thing going on, but not really. But it's also a zombie game. But it's also like, yo, you got a gun that shoots records at people. Isn't that quirky? Yeah. Or I could just use this gun. No, that's not. It's the most powerful weapon in the game. No, it's not fun. I'm just gonna shoot stuff in the face with a revolver.
Yeah.
Use the gun that shoots fireworks.
Yeah, it seems like kind of a cool game, but more interestingly is this a clue for Microsoft's future? I mean, what they're planning on.
I believe it's coming to the Game Pass thing, and that's coming to PC. If not, it's already technically there. So it's not going to be a Play Anywhere title though, which I think is a little bit shitty. But also, it's a 3-4-year-old game at this point. Yeah, it's like $20 on Amazon. I don't know. If you're curious, go check it out. Definitely a game. It's fun. I might have liked it more for $20.
Yeah, the Xbox Game Pass though, in general, I'm still pretty interested in it. I want to see what it's going to turn out like because they're planning on rolling it out for Windows as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this is getting towards.
Yeah,
it's weird. So like it's someone who's paid for Sea of Thieves. I don't like Sea of Thieves. If I had gotten Sea of Thieves as part of some type of Game Pass, I might have liked Sea of Thieves more.
Huh.
Yeah, you've hardly talked about it for a while.
I have no reason to play it. I have no reason to go back and talk about Sea of Thieves or play more of Sea of Thieves. Nothing they've added to that game has affected my ongoing fundamental issue with that game. Eventually, I will get my Xbox One set up again when I have more space, and I will probably check that thing out on the Xbox One to see what the hell that is like, but I have no reason to check that game out on my laptop. There is no reason for me to reinstall it. Like, we added stuff. Okay, cool. To make the combat better? No. Okay. Neat. I paid money for that game.
Yeah.
It simultaneously launched on Game Pass, though, so... I've almost thought about signing back up for Gold just to get a stockpile of games again when they do make crossplay more of a thing. Or not crossplay, the, Xbox Anywhere stuff more of a thing.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
But we'll see. Speaking of crossplay, though, the Switch version of Warframe is inbound. And
go ahead.
And like the previous console versions, you will be capable of copying your a PC account to it, but it's not a two-way street. Those accounts will now exist in uncomfortable parallelness.
Oh, so if you do something on the Switch version and then go back and do it on the PC version, it won't carry over?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
All the consoles have had kind of a sync period of this. It doesn't delete your PC account. Like, I think that remains, but it's cool that you kind of carry it over. At the same time, God, I fucking wish they could just make it so your account was one thing at this point. It is I would love to play Warframe on a console. I think it controls better on a console. I play everything on PC with a controller for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I play a lot of third-person games with controllers as opposed to...
Yeah, me
keyboard.
too.
I guess I'm the mouse and keyboard enthusiast around these parts.
Yeah. I like mouse and keyboards, not for third person.
Yeah.
I don't like mouse and keyboard for melee games, and Warframe has a lot of melee.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dead by Daylight works really well also with a gamepad.
Yeah. Where to next? Got news for you, Alex. They've detailed the upcoming Final Fantasy XIV's new expansion.
Yes, I saw that. So it looks like they're releasing an unannounced new race.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's some
It's
rabbit
the
related?
cat people from, what's it, 11 or 12?
Oh.
11.
Bunny people or something?
The Ivalis?
That sounds
Ivalis?
right.
They'd have to be rabbit people. Because the guy was wearing a rabbit shirt, and apparently that was a hint. And it was a Bugs Bunny shirt.
Viera. Viera.
Yeah.
I think those were, it was a 12 thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they're announcing a new race and then also a new job, which is what they call the classes. And so the new job is Blue Mage.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's also a class that uses gun blades.
That's right, it does, doesn't it?
It's not clear what class uses gun blades, but those gun blades are in that trailer.
I think that's going to be Blue Mage, actually, because I saw the Blue Mage trailer, and they had, like, bow and arrow that shot out a bunch of shit.
Did it have a gun blade?
I think it did. I don't know. I'd be intrigued to see where that goes, though, but, yeah.
They're doing
They're
doing a very good job of making you want to play more of this game.
Like I said, I actually am going to probably redo my subscription for it. My time ran out for it. But
Yeah. How far did you get?
not that far. A couple levels. But I feel like I want to jump back into it. And
If you
play
feel like
some
getting
more.
back into it, let me know. I might be interested in playing it with you.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was my biggest barrier. I'm like, I know no one that plays this fucking game, and MMOs by yourself are lame.
You know what
Yeah.
what it is, too? I think it was that I ended up redoing my class because I didn't want to have to grind all the way up to 10 to re-roll it.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up, going back and making a Dragoon is what I did.
Yeah.
So, but I had one of the dot-based mage classes.
Always
Can't
start
remember what
melee.
it's called. Yeah.
At
But
least
the nice thing is with that game, once you have a character done,
Yeah.
or a job done, you can just switch,
Yeah,
and then be another one.
That is
Yeah.
the appealing part of that game to me, and some of the skills carry over from class to class.
Yeah. So that's definitely handy.
Our news is splintered this week. Let's do Xbox again next. I should have stuck with that when we were talking about other thing. There are rumors and confirmations. I'm not sure it's been a full, it's on the Microsoft website, or I thought it was Microsoft Store, so I could in their logo, so my bad on that one. There are at least kind of hints and rumors, and pretty good, because it came from multiple sources at this point, indicators that there will be a discless Xbox One X in the near future, at least an Xbox One. There'll still be a download-only console.
So it's basically just going to be, even more so, a less useful computer.
It's a Steam box at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I mean, it's basically, I guess it's going to be what the Phantom console was going to be, if you remember that.
I don't know what that means, but
The Phantom, I don't remember. I guess you don't remember it, but for a long time, there's this thing in development called the Phantom, actually called the Phantom, hilariously. Of course, it never came out, but it was supposed to be this completely online, console system type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was before its time, I have to say. If it came out now, it would probably do a bit better, but it never came out. The technology just really wasn't there, I think. That was the problem. But yeah, if you look up Phantom console, you'll find it online. But I think it's interesting that now we're basically going to get the Phantom with an Xbox One that is digital. I'm guessing it won't even have a disk drive on it.
that makes sense to a certain extent. Like,
That that can make it cheaper.
Yeah, the
so
idea
that might
is
be
to get
what they're
down
looking
to
for
that
too.
$200 range, and like you've got Sony out there right now running their slim PS4 with, I think it's Spider-Man for Black Friday at $200,
Yeah,
which is that's a good price for kind of a holiday console, if you will. And the idea of I have on in a couple for I don't know what reason the last couple of weeks thought about like, hey, at the end of this console cycle, do I buy an Xbox One X just to kind of have the best Xbox for moving forward sakes? And it's crossed my mind, and if you can get me an Xbox One X that's digital only, I might buy that.
That is intriguing, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Well, because like the reality is, I only bought the Call of Cthulhu video game physical because it was $10 cheaper than the online store. I buy most of my games digital at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, yeah, that's the same way. Even I think like, wasn't there a thing too where like Fallout 76, when people bought it, it was just a case and it was a paper in the disc slot, and it was like a freaking code. You had to download the game.
I don't think that was Fallout 76, but I remember that being a thing that's popped up a couple times in the past. I'm not sure for which games.
I could have sworn I saw something about that recently.
Might be. That sounds like a thing that would happen again. Because I remember it happening with something else.
Yeah.
It's an intriguing idea. It's a smart move, and I think, like Henry was saying, it's a weird one because you just kind of built yourself a weird one-purpose PC at that point. But also, like, wouldn't it be fucking weird if that was their version of the Chromebook, where they like install Microsoft Word and like PowerPoint on an Xbox One?
I imagine somebody's going to try to do that anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That would be kind of funny.
Where it's like it's the home computer / console thing, but it only runs like 5 Microsoft things and video games, and the assumption is you're now interneting on your phone.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a really interesting move. I wouldn't have seen that coming, but I guess at this point we've been downloading most games anyways. Yeah. Like a lot of people download vast, but I don't know the numbers, but I know a lot of people are definitely downloading over buying. That's why GameStop is the only game store left on Earth.
I've reached the weird point where my motivations aren't that I like digital more. It's that I can hit a button on my phone at work, and it starts downloading it to my PS4, and then it also grabs all the updates. By the time I'm home, I have my updates and I can just play. Like, it's a weird fix to a problem that they also invented themselves. But if there was a way to tell my PS4, hey, I have a copy of Red Dead Redemption showing up in the mail today, I would still totally buy physical. Like, get those patches for me now, and I'll install when I get home. Or like, hey, why do I have to install this if I'm just putting a disc in? But that's a whole separate topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's cheaper, but to be honest, the cheaper price point for even the PS4 Slim makes me want to buy it.
Yeah,
a much lower price point. That definitely makes me want to buy it, and if the Xbox comes out with their own apparently kind of version of the same thing, I'd be interested in buying that too.
Yeah,
they're way cheaper. I mean, that's the thing. When it comes down to it, and I mentioned this before, one of the big reasons that prevents me from buying a console is just the price. It's just, what do I want? A powerful computer or a couple of powerful consoles? But here, like at $200, like that I'm willing to drop that.
Yeah. $200 is a good price for a console. We're getting to that point in the console cycle where the prices get real attractive.
Yeah, and it's basically the exact same. Well, as far as the PS4 Slim, as far as I can tell, it's the exact same power as the PS4. There's no difference between the two.
Yeah, you're done. Remember, we live in the dark ages now where the PS4 Pro exists, as does the Xbox One X.
Yeah, which are upgraded versions. But yeah, I'd be fine with the not super. I don't have a 4K screen.
I don't know why I own a Pro. I really don't.
Yeah, I know a couple people who own Pros actually. Yeah, I don't have a 4K screen, so it's like, why do I even need it? I mean, it does. I believe it does have a faster CPU.
Yeah, I could lie and say I got it for like better running Monster Hunter mode and better running God of War mode, but I didn't. I got it because it was like better PS4, and I had a weird number of PS4s lying around that I could trade in to get a new one for on the cheap, which was a weird situation to be in as well.
Well, I also ended up getting one of those PS4s from you.
You remember, I owned like 4 PS4s at one point.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
I still technically own 2.
Well, you have your old PS4 and then the Pro.
Yeah, and then I had the one that stopped working that I traded for the Pro. Because I got it working again. Like, I had my launch. I have technically had 5 PS4s in the lifetime of the cycle. So I had one that stopped working that they gave me a new one for. I think that's the one I sold to you ultimately. I had the busted one that I managed to fix, and I traded that one in for the PS4 Pro. I have the one I bought in Philly for 4. Not Philly, I'm sure. Jersey? Yeah. I paid very little money for that one. It was definitely a weird Craigslist thing. Yeah. Don't be like me. Don't build a fort out of your PS4s.
PS4?
Yes. There's a Fortnite joke in there somewhere, but that's a good enough transition as I'm going to get out of this. Golden Joysticks happened. God of War and Fortnite did real good at it.
Yeah.
Big surprise.
God of War deserved it. That game was so fucking good.
I feel kind of bad God of War came out as long ago as it did in the year of Red Dead Redemption, because the conversation of, oh, Red Dead's the best game of the year. No, it's God of War. That game is fucking something else.
Well, it just shows you how, like, the life cycle, it hasn't even been a year. These games have come out the same year,
Yeah.
but it just feels like it's been so long in the game industry
Yeah.
now, because there's so much shit it released in between that's just like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, so let's run down the kind of winners of the Golden Joysticks. You have Best Storytelling, God of War. Best Competitive Game, Fortnite. Best Cooperative Game, Monster Hunter World. Best Visual Design, God of War. Best Indie Game, Dead Cells. Best Audio, God of War. Still playing is World of Tanks. Best Performer, Brian Detchard as Connor from Detroit. Okay, yeah, he was the best part of that game. They are absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
He was a stellar performance in an otherwise game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not heard great things about that game.
It's a David Cage joint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Esports Game of the Year is Overwatch. Best VR, Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim VR. Studio of the Year, SIE, Santa Monica Studio. I don't know who that one is. Best Streamer / Broadcaster, Brian Deckhart and Amelia Rose Blair. Okay, so that's actually kind of a cool thing that happened. The guy who played Connor went back and played Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of cool.
That's very meta.
Yeah,
I
it was.
appreciate that.
I watched a couple of those streams. It was a lot of fun. Mobile Game of the Year, PlayerUnknown's Battleground Mobile. PC Game of the Year, Subnautica.
That's an interesting one.
It's a good game.
Oh, just looked it up. So the SIE Santa Monica Studio, that's the creator of God.
Oh, yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
right,
then.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't realize that they had more of their name than Santa Monica Studios.
Mhm.
PlayStation Game of the Year, God of War. Xbox Game of the Year, Forza Horizon 4. God, that's kind of telling. Nintendo Game of the Year, Octopath Traveler. That's really...
That's interesting.
Well, I mean, technically, Pokemon, the new Pokemon game hasn't come out yet. Well, it just came out, so I don't think it would qualify to win.
Well, I guess, when are we measuring from? Because there's a chance, depending when they're measuring from, like, Mario Odyssey, in theory, was part of that category.
Mario Odyssey is over a year old.
Yeah, it came out, like, last October or September kind of thing. I don't know when they're measuring from, because... like,
based off of what I see here, this all looks like it's this year.
Yes, but, like, when does this year start in consideration? Like, does it start from when the Game Awards ended last year, or is it just 2018 releases?
This is true.
Yeah. Don't know, but yeah, Octopath Traveler. Breakthrough Awards, Unknown Worlds, Most Wanted Game, Cyberpunk 2077, big surprise there.
Yeah.
Critics' Choice Award, Red Dead Redemption 2, Lifetime Achievement, Hidekata Miyazaki from Software. He's the Dark Souls guys.
Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Thank you. I'm bad at pronunciations. Outstanding contribution. Xbox Adaptive Controller. That thing is still cool as hell. Ultimate
Yeah.
Game of the Year. Fortnite Battle Royale. Which makes a lot of sense given how much that this year was dominated by that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still dominating. It still really is. I mean, that game can slack off a lot and it still be dominating.
Yeah. This was after last week's podcast, actually. My girlfriend's nephew and niece were hanging out at my place, and I had Fortnite on my PS4, so her nephew could play it. Watching that kid go through the menus for that game to get set up the way he wanted was kind of terrifying.
They're fast. Oh, yeah, like kids nowadays, they are super fast.
Well, like, he was going into subcategories of the menu I'd have never known were there, and I don't know if this is like, do you learn these settings from YouTube videos or some shit like that? Like, how do you learn that these are the settings to go with? Because I don't mess with game settings that much. Like, I'll change the occasional thing here and there, but he's like fucking like tweaking very specific things, quitting out, playing some, tweaking it some more, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is some like fighting game tournament level tweaking.
Yeah.
Got a button check going on over here.
I may do it with a few things. I do like sensitivity on some of the stuff, but that's it.
This was more than that. And I guess I took the shit talk my girlfriend's nephew, but like drops into a map and gets killed within like 10 seconds of dropping. I'm like, oh, this is baseline play. Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Of course, well, have either of you played Ring of Elysium?
EB? Remind me what that game is.
Well, it's basically a PUBG, except
it's the snow one, right?
Well, it can have snow. It can have weather. Yeah, it's one that actually has weather. Like a lot of
Yes,
weather.
this one has like ski resorts in it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, I have played this one briefly.
Yeah, it's super good.
It may or may not be full of Chinese spyware.
Yeah. But it's definitely better than PUBG. It looks better, it plays better, it's less glitchy.
It's got snowboards.
And it might hack your computer.
It might hack your computer.
But, yeah, definitely I would say now it's like, I know that PUBG is still super popular, but if you want to play a game that's better than PUBG, play Ring of Elysium. It's free, by the way, also, so I mean, you can just, that's another big one.
Always a big point in that direction, yeah.
Yeah, it's free and better. So, play that game.
Yeah.
Play that game instead.
Yeah. So you added this one to the list, Henry, so I'm going to hand it off to you in a sec. What's up with senators contacting the FTC about in-app ads?
All right, so and this is interesting, because this is actually, I think it's bipartisan. No, it's Democrats. Actually, it's 3 Democrats, and so essentially, it's looking at the practice of putting ads into games that are certainly for children, like games that are definitely like E for everyone.
Let's back up a step for our international listeners. The FTC is the American Foreign Trade Commission, or Federal Trade Commission, sorry, and they get to regulate things like where it's appropriate to advertise, like maybe you shouldn't advertise gambling to kids or cigarettes and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, that's the job of the FTC. And so, as a result of these ads, and basically, let's just don't play coy. They're straight up targeting kids because they know kids will press a button on them, a microwave transaction, and a little kid doesn't necessarily have a great, idea about money, and that's really, really what they take advantage of. And if they act like, oh no, we're just, it's just ads, no, don't play coy. We know we're not dumb. We're all adults here. You're marketing to kids, and you're doing it. All right, so it says the letter comes in the wake of a study released last month that found some 9 out of 10 apps and games aimed at kids contained advertising. Educational, free, paid, didn't matter. Ads in some form or another were everywhere. So, I mean, I kind of get that. I definitely get it. And I'd say it is deceptive, and it is it is unfair and deceptive. Essentially, all right. So, yeah, the report includes evidence of children's games disguising advertisements and making advertisements integral to games themselves.
We've talked about this some in the past in kind of the context of you can play Clash of Clans without microtransactions, but holy shit, is that game not fun without microtransactions? Like there are. This is kind of maybe the out of touch old people are finally getting wind of things because their grandkids are complaining about this or something. I don't know, but I don't think it's news to anyone who plays mobile games that a lot of them are maybe a little bit aimed at making you spend that money for a whole slew of reasons, whether it be on card packs or like, hey, just speed this monotonous shit up so you can actually play the goddamn game.
But yeah, this is kind of a step. It really is a deceptive step because they're essentially, it's a lot of apps that are hiding, or they're at least trying to disguise the fact that it's another in-app purchase. They like make it seem like it's required for the game to continue, or you have to have this thing, or you have to pay this, whatever the case is. It's deceptive advertising, and the FTC doesn't actually allow deceptive advertising. That is That's probably what they're actually going to go after them on. They can't. There's nothing wrong with advertising to kids as far as law-wise. The law says.
Nicktoons exists.
But, yeah, and so Saturday morning cartoons, which used to exist. I mean, in any case, the FTC. One thing that they definitely make decisions on is if something is fair or if something is deceptive, and so I think that's a good idea. I mean, there should be some sort of crackdown on it because it is, as let's be honest here, it's sketchy. It's not honest. Especially the fact that they're hiding, make it look like it's a button in the game that just to continue the game, but it's actually a microtransaction.
Yeah,
that's sneaky. That's pretty dirty. So the senators involved are Ed Markey, Tom Udall, and Richard Blumenthal. Ed Markey of Maine, Tom Udall.
Fucking yeah, Maine.
I believe it's Maine.
Yeah.
M.A. is Maine.
That's
I believe so. Yes.
Or Massachusetts.
I thought. Yeah, oh no, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
M.N. is Maine. I don't know.
And M is New Mexico. He is Connecticut. Yep. So yeah, Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. And so I actually kind of recognize those three names, but it is interesting. I think this is. And just last week we talked about the commission in Europe that was, well, at least in one country like Belgium, that was removing games because they were selling, in-game items. And so I don't see this as sort of the moral panic of, oh, think about the kids, they're, violent games. No, this is a real thing. I think this is actually meaningful. Like, I don't think that deceptive advertising should be allowed in these apps. I think that is something that should be under control. That this isn't, like, I think this is different than a Jack Thompson-esque moral.
Yeah, and I think it's my comment was more one of, like, I think if you asked anyone about mobile gaming at this point, even not ones aimed at kids, we've been like, yeah, this has been a thing for as long as microtransactions have been allowed in mobile gaming.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, doesn't mean it's good, no. And I'm glad that, and especially, like I said, these are games specifically targeted at children. They are, like, educational games, obviously kids' games, and they are also obviously obfuscating the controls.
And they all make that kind of
the
weird,
purchases.
And they all make that kind of weird, awkward claim of, oh, we're free.
Yeah.
Hey, spend some money because you got this for...
Yeah. And I'm not against that model, but I'm against what they're specifically doing with that model, and that's the difference.
Yeah. So, a little bit related to that, but like the whole in-game ads is actually, and Charlie, I swear to God, this is actually relevant. Little tidbit, but early on, like in the Matrix Online.
Wait. Is this about a game that no one can play anymore?
No.
Yeah, it's a game about no one can play anymore. But I just want to talk about it. It's kind of eerie how this stuff's starting to come up now, because a long time ago in the Matrix Online, when they were trying to really cash in on trying to get some of this ad stuff and whatnot, they used to have billboards play AM PM ads and a bunch of other like actual commercials in the game.
Well,
so if you walk close enough to a
EA's
billboard,
done that in the past too. Like they had fun situations where they had billboards that would show different stuff based around kind of what ads were aimed at you as a player. Like that's not a new thing.
I feel like that's just a little bit creepy, and it just kind of linking closer to like this thing here. But it's just like
this is not that. That's kind of targeted advertising. This is, hey, it's the continue button or the continue plus button.
Okay.
Yeah.
That part is super fucking deceptive. I can give you that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I when you were talking about it, it just reminded me so much of that whole thing.
Oh,
it was,
yeah.
that was weird.
No, like it's like advertising in games in general is not a new concept. It's more the
and it's
predatory nature.
And I'm not. Yes, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it as well. Like, yeah, exactly. I'm saying more that specifically, hiding the controls and aiming at kids. That's dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see where this goes. It's interesting though. If it sets a precedent that could clean up other mobile apps, that would be a thing I'd be very interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't want that job. I don't want to be the person stuck with the job of trying to clean out the Google store.
No.
Oh God.
On to our next one. It's probably not a great job to have right now. Steam is delisting a bunch of Telltale games because it's not totally clear who owns them right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so weird.
I thought they got delisted because it's just over. Like they're done.
No. Oh no, these are games that aren't. These are games that have been out for a while. These are finished games, hypothetically.
Oh, okay.
But they're doing that kind of carving up and selling of a company's properties the way one would do if a company closed the way they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the Walking Dead series has been pulled. It's Telltale's liquefying its assets, so it's selling stuff off. And maybe these games will come back, maybe they won't. You can still download them if you already have them, but you can't buy them anymore. Like it's kind of like how the Walking Dead season, the final season, will come back once it's under more kind of control.
Yeah.
But it's not clear who will own that because Telltale no longer exists.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. There's other games in the Steam store that from companies that are defunct.
Yep. Yeah, it really comes down to who owns the game at that point.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's somebody else can still make money off of that game if they bought the rights to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like how a bunch of people own now dead and famous musicians' music that had nothing to do with the music originally and profit off that.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's a common practice, but it's kind of in the ongoing saga that is the Telltale finale, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a thing. And Steam's kind of the last ones to delist stuff, typically, just because of that platform's inertia.
Yeah. So what do you think? So, I mean, I guess you probably talked about it to a certain extent, but Telltale, so what do you think was the beginning of the end for them? Like, which property do you think
Game
it was?
of Thrones? That one was bad.
That could be it. I mean, that's the thing. I think they got way too many licenses, and licenses are expensive.
Yeah, I also think
you should just be aware of that. I mean, that's the thing. They had Walking Dead, they had Batman, they had Monkey Island. I mean, they were playing with a lot of different licenses.
Yeah,
a lot of
I think there's also a certain level of how many Telltale games do you think were actually good? I think that list is a lot shorter than anyone wants to admit to. I think, like, I know the Walking Dead game, especially the first one, is really beloved by certain people. I don't think any of the Walking Dead games were that good. Like, if I was to make a list, it's The Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands, and the 2 Batman games. And I feel like I'm missing one in there I liked as well, but those are the ones that jump to mind, really, as the good ones. Like, they did that Minecraft one, which a lot of people didn't like a lot. They did that Game of Thrones one. That was kind of genuinely terrible.
Yeah, that's what I heard about. That was a game that didn't need it.
The Guardians of the Galaxy one I heard was good, but also, like, did you two know there was a Guardians of the Galaxy one?
Nope.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the story... We talked about Telltale back when it was happening. I think the story there is a lot more involved than just when did it start to go bad? Like, I think it's like, well, when did the money start getting mismanaged? Like, when did they start having a cocaine room that was a giant money pit? Like, it's the...
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's difficult to pinpoint something just being a part of it.
I don't work for Telltale.
It's not one. It's definitely not one thing. Yeah. That's one thing we do know for sure. It wasn't one single thing.
Yeah, I don't work for Telltale. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I can only look from the outside and be like, man, you guys didn't make a bunch of great games. You made a bunch of adequate games, and a couple I thought were real cool, but still maybe not totally video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess I was only ever a fan of point-and-click adventure-style games in the 80s. You know, the Sierra era.
I would go so far as to say I don't think Telltale games are point-and-click style adventures. They're Telltale games. They made up their own style. It's a very specific style. True. Like, I don't think it appeals to the point-and-click people. I don't think any games really are aimed at those people anymore, though, either. So, I think a Telltale game is a Telltale game at the end of the day. Like, the fact that I could tell you from game to game, like, where technical hitches would pop up, and, like, when we and Jim did the Life is Strange playthrough, the ongoing talk of, okay, none of what you're doing actually matters because someone has laid out a series of very important plot beats you have to get to, and you're filling in the space between point A and point B. Like, Telltale's the one that really started that in some ways, where it was the illusion of a player's story, as opposed to
illusion of choice. Yeah. But most games are like that.
I think in that case, though, like, it's not choice isn't their mechanic. It's like, oh, yeah, you're choosing from these one of these two choices. In theory, like, a Telltale style game should be very much up to you. It should be kind of choose your own adventure in a more traditional way, but it's not. It's still, we have a story to tell, and we're going to tell it, and we're going to make you think like what you do overall impacts the flow, whereas games like The Witcher and Mass Effect, to a lesser extent, do similar stuff that does impact the story, but they're very upfront about the fact that this is the story, you're not changing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they were just visual novels, really.
Yes.
That's really what they were. Telltale games were just sort of a Western style of digital novel.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a thing.
Yeah, and that occurred to me when I played through the Walking Dead one, and then not too long after I played an actual just visual novel. I was like, oh, that's just a visual novel. The Telltale Games style is definitely very specific style, but they are just visual novels.
Yeah.
And I think that might be another thing with it. The visual novel thing hasn't really heavily caught on here. I just don't think it will.
Telltale games were popular. I think that's an unfair categorization. Yeah. Like, I think.
No, yeah. I think they were popular, but I think the problem is just it was a niche that wasn't necessarily always going to be there. I think. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I always got the impression the games performed pretty well, but also that studio got real big real quick to deal with the fact that they had like 5 games in development at one point. And I know all the games like performed decently is the impression I got, but like I wouldn't say a bunch of them were good. I think a bunch of them were aimed at specific groups and they were fine. Yeah.
Moving on from that to kind of our main topic and also our last news article this week. Sony has announced it is skipping E3 2019. And I don't just mean skipping as in not doing much. The impression I get is they're not even doing a show floor or anything like that. Kind of the same way EA doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's also not clear if this will continue past 2019. It's just 2019 for now. The ESA, the people that run E3 and kind of other parts of the game industry, don't seem to be too concerned about this, but I'm kind of talking about this in the current state of E3 as our main topic this week. I personally am amazed it took us this long to have one of the big three say, fuck it, we're just gonna do our own thing or not your thing anymore. Like, hell, Sony already does PSX.
Yeah.
Blizzard already does BlizzCon. Star Citizen does its own Nightmare thing. Like, there are better and more controlled ways to do the E3 thing that aren't part of E3 that maybe you should. Hell, EA's thing happens during E3 week, but it's not there and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an interesting move. I think it's just more of a realization that, I don't know, E3 in experimenting and I think trying to stay viable in the day of age of the internet, where it's like marketing stuff can just go on the internet and it's more effective and way cheaper than going to an expensive conference and putting up a big expensive setup, and it's like you said, especially doesn't make any sense if some of these companies already have their own personal E3, and it's not like there's other places they couldn't announce their stuff. I mean, the Penny Arcade Expos being the notable places where they could do that.
Yeah. Well, and again, they have their own convention. They canceled their own convention this year. They, in theory, only have a handful of games that are actively theirs in development. They're Death Stranding, The Last of Us 2, and Ghost of Tunisia, which I don't think have release dates yet. And I don't know, did you two both watch this year's E3 for Sony, right?
Yeah. Didn't we have a thing about? I'm sure we had.
We
talked about it.
Some. I remember how well you remember it. Like if you watch the specific Sony ones, they were weird. Like it was that weird kind of very stylized presentation thing that it was unlike anything any of the other other big three were doing, and it was weird and kind of off-putting, but also, hey, no one cared because them games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is just. I mean, I think we're just. It seems like EA's maybe not EA. E3 is winding down. Is that a possibility?
So my theory here, and just humor me with this one here. So we've had companies recently that have had success with having their own conventions.
Arguably,
BlizzCon,
every company that has gone to their own convention has had success. Like there hasn't been a real failure at it yet.
Yeah. I think it's starting to realize that these people can not only still get their message out there as far as branding, but they can monetize it and make a profit off of them advertising, if you will.
Yeah.
Before, I mean, they all go through E3. E3 is the middleman. I feel like some of these companies are just starting to cut the middleman out. Why bother having to go through ESA and E3 when you can just host your own convention with your own rules and people will come and pay you to be there instead of it paying the middleman? I mean, that's what BlizzCon has been for years. It's been you pay to go see their stuff. And I mean, granted, it's a whole thing, and we've talked about it before. But I mean, in reality, PlayStation did their own thing with the experience, and people paid. You easily get a couple $100 a person to show up. They will pay. What's stopping Nintendo from doing theirs eventually? People will line up in droves to fucking do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing is, and I think what would actually be missed is the E3 was supposed to be something more for the press.
It was a trade show. Yeah, it's not clear what it is anymore. Did you go to E3 this year, Henry?
Me? No.
Okay, so Alex, you're the one of the three of us that have been to E3 in the last year or so.
I didn't go this year, but I went last year.
Oh, I thought you went this year too.
No, not this year.
Okay. Sorry, continue, Henry. Trade shows, industry stuff. That's what E3 was initially.
Yeah. It's just I mean, now that but the thing is like it was kind of convenient because it brought all of them in place, so the press wouldn't have to go to several different shows to see everything. But I mean, is the press necessarily that adverse to just going to a few different shows?
No,
and I think also
they absolutely will go.
I think you could also get away with what if we just put all of the press stuff in the same time spirit and have a week. Like I think there's something called Paris Games Week where it's there's a main convention, but also there's a bunch of not stuff at that thing. Like just do all your stuff during that time span.
Yeah. I think, so I think it's a very interesting move, and it seems like, I think they're purposely couching their words, so they don't accidentally send the message that nobody come to E3 anymore. Because that seems like a lot of what Sony's trying to do. They're trying to dance around that idea in case they don't do their own. If they don't, if they don't do their own convention, then they could still say they didn't burn their bridge with E3. Instead of making it seem like they're just dumping E3 and telling everybody, oh yeah, everybody dump E3.
It's weird, because I remember back when EA was like, yeah, we're not doing E3, everyone's like, what the fuck are they thinking? And then nothing changed from a public perspective. It's like, oh, they're not at E3, and they let the public into E3, and now it's okay, what is E3 now? Like, it's this, you can pay to be there, and people seem upset when they pay to be there because it's not geared towards them. Does that mean we're going to start gearing it more towards people that are paying to be there? Because remember, historically, money was made for E3 by essentially like people like Sony paying money, a lot of money frequently, to have floor space. It's what funded the event. I'm willing to bet you can rent another venue for the same amount of money it costs to, rent some floor space. They're already doing that. Hell, like everyone's already doing their own kind of keynote things that are off-site in their own rented venues. No one's doing that at E3 anymore. Or on the E3 complex? I don't know. What's the right word for that? It's been remote for a while now.
Yeah.
So, I feel like also, in this sense, like, if you not only control the kind of the presentation and the event itself, you can also very much control the narrative of like how things went. Because if you hear like stories, for example, for the Diablo Immortal stuff, there's been a lot of outrage as far as the fans are. But they're like, oh well, if media coverage, people are saying, oh no, it looks like it plays great and this and that, it'll be okay. Like you can take some of that initial blowback away.
Yeah.
By just kind of being like, oh, it's just it's just fans being crazy. These are just people. They're not real journalists here reporting stuff, which I mean, it's a condescending way to kind of look at it. But like in reality, you very much control, you have a lot more control as to the event, so to speak. And again, you're not dealing with a middleman. It's 100% how you want to put it together.
And I think for the most part, they already have that. Like the reality is like the first 2.5, 3 days, I don't know at this point, of E3 are the important days in some ways. Like, yeah, stuff gets revealed once the show floor is open, but the press conferences are what actually matter, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And but you're not competing to have best conference versus worst conference, because that always comes up. You have that many in sequence. You have, oh, well, Nintendo crushed it this year, or Sony did weird shit again. Like,
well, I think it's like, remember, EA is technically not part of E3. They have nothing physically at E3. They have all their streaming is done separate from the ESA. Has EA been part of E3 the last 2 years? Yeah, from a broadcast perspective, they absolutely have. They get part of that coverage, and they don't have to put up with any of the ESA bullshit, hypothetically.
That's true.
Like, they are now the start of E3, whether they should be or not. They're doing it on Sunday. It is their own thing. They have their own little mini, 2 or 3 day E3, and then they're done, and you never, in theory, have to set foot on the floor of E3 actual, and you can just kind of do whatever the hell you want from admission rules. That goes back to my idea of, what if E3 is just a week out of the year where everyone does stuff, and the actual E3 is just gone? Or it's just, weird... So... Last one I went to had the weird stuff going on where you had the slow in-trickle of not video game company stuff. Like there was peripheral booths. You had Capcom just selling merchandise out of their booth, which felt weird and a little bit wrong. EA has... I'm sorry, not EA. E3 hasn't been an industry event for a long-ass time in some ways. It's just now officially not an industry-only event. Which, I don't know. I think I've probably unpopularly said a couple of times that we should go back to not having the public and clamp down on them rules.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, it was probably a mistake to include the public.
The public just makes everything worse.
People are terrible, and humanity is doomed.
Yep. E3 foretold it. Yeah.
I think it's just. I think it is just a combination of factors. Like, I think they may not just have that much they want to even say next year.
Mm-hmm.
Or they want to say it very much on their own terms.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of A, a bit of B. I think also, like, is this an indication that we may find ourselves transitioning to if you don't have anything to say, you just don't have an E3 press conference? Because to a certain extent, like Microsoft's thing last year, I don't know, like it was a cool press conference because Cyberpunk showed up, but a lot of the cool stuff they showed off wasn't necessarily exclusive to them. That was a press conference of other people's stuff and Forza.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the weird things about it, honestly.
Mm.
Not that it was totally bizarre, but it was just kind of weird.
Yeah. No, and like Cyberpunk could have shown up for anyone. It could have just been like, hey, here's this other thing. Like, imagine if Cyberpunk had dropped as part of the PC Mag show or the PC Mag conference. Like, that would have blown people's brains out of the back of their skull.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's play a little game quickly on this one, and maybe this is how we kind of close out this topic. How long until you think Nintendo and Microsoft aren't officially part of E3?
Next 5 years.
Okay, Henry?
I don't know. I'm not sure that they're ever going to... I don't think they're going to give it away or get away from it completely for a while. I think they're just going to play this dance that they've been doing here, and that we aren't going to totally say we're done with EA. We're gonna leave ourselves some wiggle room so we can return, but we want to build our own thing. So I think maybe it's maybe even partly out of their fear that it will just go away. Maybe they're kind of think they see some writing on the wall that EA is going to be over, so they're already making preparations to make their own.
Maybe
that's also a possibility.
It's weird because I don't think of Nintendo as really there anymore to a certain extent. Like, they have a show floor booth.
No.
But they don't even have a press conference. They have, like, the Nintendo Directs. So, like, if you told me that thing gets kind of Toy Fair-ish, where it's really just, like, row upon row of video game demo, and some of the kind of the glitz and the kind of trade show craziness over the topness goes away, I definitely believe that. Like, I assume everyone's eventually going to have their own kind of reveal convention eventually, which will suck. But also, like, would it really be that bad if, like, there was an EA event, a Ubisoft event, an Activision Blizzard event? Because if you don't think Activision's going to find a way to move into BlizzCon, you're mistaken. An Xbox, a Nintendo, and a Microsoft event, like, we're already kind of there to a certain extent. Like how we talked about Microsoft's event thing they did last week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've all done, like, standalone console reveals in the past, too. Like, either the PS4 or the Xbox One were announced at an E3.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
So they've already been kind of testing the waters anyways for this. But yeah, I don't know if I'm not sure if he'll be going away that quickly, but I think they're preparing for the eventuality that it could.
Yeah. I think it really depends on what happens with E3 at this point, because it's not clear what E3 wants to be at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, I mean, that's the other thing. I guess E3's own evolution isn't necessarily over either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe they'll just have to offer more, otherwise you'll have some of these companies that are just kind of break away.
Like, what do you offer them?
And that's the thing, I don't know. More money or something?
They're the ones paying
more...
to be there, remember that. Like, they're not paying...
Yeah.
It's you pay for a booth, not the other way around.
Well,
yes.
Maybe like a reduced cost or something. I'm not sure, but like
they have to cover the cost of the LA Convention Center.
Well, then I don't see any incentive for some of these companies to do that when they can just make more money directly doing it their way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So at this point, yeah, the answer is offer them something more. But then the question after that is, what you said, what do you offer them to keep them around at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, other than the fact that it's a legacy event, like it's a well-known name, everyone knows it's like a thing. You know, it's E3, yeah, but like, you know, it's slowly starting to phase away from what it was. You know, hell, I still remember. I remember going to E3 one year when they still did all the crazy like booth babe stuff and all that stuff.
They still do that.
Like, that was very much not anywhere near the
not
level
on the same
before.
scale. No.
No.
I'm sorry. We have a podcast episode where I talk about how they had a fucking Nintendo Switches shackled to women a couple years ago.
Yeah.
No, it was a very, very interesting time back then. So it's not, and people remember that, of course, and then now it's gotten down to the public level. Like, I don't see the incentive to stay.
Bring back the booth babes. That's what they'll do.
No, I don't.
No.
No, I don't.
I don't think they're that sort of blind to reading the room.
I don't know.
It was a different time. It was appropriate for that era.
It wasn't appropriate
now.
then. We were just okay with it then. That's different.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. Like, for that time, it was deemed appropriate. Not anymore. Currently, it's not. You would get a lot of shit for it. Yeah. So, yeah. Appropriate is I guess.
I'm going to go back to, like, the third Dead or Alive beach volleyball game came out in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I appropriate? No. Should you do that? No. Did it sell real well?
Probably.
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Did we do a video on it making fun of it? Yes. Yes, we did.
Hey, I care about the sport of volleyball. This is the best thing to a volleyball simulator we have.
Doesn't change the fact that, like, if you think we're past booth babes, that game exists saying nah.
No, we're definitely past booth babes. Video games, maybe not.
Captain Sweatpants is still out there.
Yeah. What?
Do you not know that term, Alex?
I don't want to know.
Well, when you wear sweatpants to a strip club, you're sending a certain message. You're a terrible human being.
Oh, that yeah. Yeah.
That's I feel like we've exhausted this topic, so unless anyone else has anything meaningful to say left on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good here.
Yeah. All right. We have no listener mail this week, but if you want to contact us, how would you go about doing that, Henry?
That is wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
What's that email again, Alex?
wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
And for a third time, Henry?
That is wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
Yes, wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. I just mind blanked for a second there. Down the show notes. Yep.
You got yourself.
Yes, I did. I'm like, why did I do that? But yes, down the show notes, spell this sounds, etc., etc. That's gonna more or less do it for this week's podcast. And I think I threatened to make us do it because it's the last podcast before Thanksgiving happens. A what we're thankful this year in gaming thing, and I've decided we're doing that now. So, yeah, to close it out, what's the thing in gaming you've been thankful for this year? God, I hate myself for us to do this.
GOA volleyball.
No, it didn't come out this year.
Matrix Online.
I will fucking kill you.
I don't know. Maybe it's the shock of realizing that Blizzard's maybe not as all cracked up to be.
Are you thankful for that?
Maybe, yeah, because I would have been more hooked on it and been like I admit I'm a huge fucking fanboy, but even I'm starting to see the cracks in the wall.
There.
So thankful for the clarity in that, I guess.
Huh.
And the Matrix Online.
Yeah.
I will feed your corpse to your dogs. I'm gonna fucking Thanksgiving your ass.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I mean, it's been a weird year for gaming.
Yeah.
And it's been a weird year overall.
So,
and I don't
If you
know.
need some time, I got mine.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna have to think about it.
Like, every once in a while, it feels like gaming grows up a little bit, and you get a couple games in a year that like feel meaningful and different, and like mature is maybe the wrong word, but like overall, video games have taken a bit of a step forward, and like maybe not being as kind of what's the right word? What they used to be, kind of, where it's like, oh, it's kind of aimed at males of a certain age, and it's like, no, it's kind of aimed at everyone. We're telling good stories now. Like in the year of God of War, and to a lesser extent Red Dead, but still Red Dead and Spider-Man, and just a whole slew of really good games that don't rely on kind of cheap gimmicks. Like they're defendably good games. They're defendably well-written games. They're defendably beautiful games. Like it's a year of just really good games that you want to play, not because of some like ulterior motive, but because they're just good. And like we're in our second year of good ass games in some ways. I'm thankful they've kind of kept that trend going, because last year was good and this year was equally good, if not better. Just it's like I'd always rather less games that are really good than a bunch of like, yeah, these are games I played and I feel weird about playing them.
Okay, I guess I have one, and I guess it's a bit kind of snarky in a sense. I'm glad Riot Games finally got called out.
I get that one.
That one's been coming for a while. People who are in the industry, who have just in the know at all, or just know people at Riot Games or whatever, this has been something that is coming, and I'm not unsurprised that it came about in this year. You know, Me Too movement and all that, and it's good. This stuff like this needs to be called out more often. More office spaces that are toxic like that should be called out. And this one is obviously it wasn't a false news. I mean, it wasn't a false narrative. That is, there's ongoing cases for this.
Yeah.
And Riot Games openly admitted it.
Yeah, it feels like
openly admitted that they're.
It feels like it's a year of a bunch of like shit that's been like known in video games finally actually like being actually known, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, being recognized.
Yeah.
And finally, and just, yeah, and I think it's well beyond past about time sort of thing. It has been way too long, and hopefully I don't know if it has, and I hopefully it does, it just continues to widen the conversation about sort of misogyny and other types of discrimination in the video gaming community. Yeah. And whether you're talking about in development, and that's the thing it hadn't been talking about so much that was happening in development. It mainly been discussed when it came down to communities of players, and where, well, Riot Games' community of players also there's an issue there. But this is the first year I've seen a big news story about these things going on at the company, at the company itself. And I think that's amazingly important. And I hope it's a step in a direction that will continue to move in.
Sure. No, it's also been an interesting year of like, I don't want to say like we're moving away from fan communities always being right, but like this is the year we had that whole thing with Guild Wars 2, where the fan community's got up in arms about a reaction to something, and it feels like we're moving away from fanboys a little bit, which I think is a good thing overall.
Yeah.
The tribalism is breaking down a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it is just kind of, it does seem to be happening that it's not, people aren't going to stand for just really what's ridiculous behavior anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that that's a thing now, that they're just going to be people are just going to be increasingly not willing to put up with really poor behavior like unruly children.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a weird ass game though. You're right. Not game year. You're. It feels like a long year, not just because of like just in gaming. It's felt like a long ass year.
Yeah, it's felt like a long year with weird happenings in gaming. Good things, bad things, weird things. Yeah, it's been one of those years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone got anything else they want to say on this topic, or should we close this sucker out?
I mean, I think we're good.
All right. Anyone got any last meaningful things they want to say before we close it out? Not in the, as we normally do, I guess. Like any stream schedules coming up, any things you should check out that are happening in the near future, anything like that?
No streams, anything in general, but if I do post any updates on streams and things like that, you can find me on Maeve Online, on all the social medias and stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I guess to all our U.S.-based listeners, I'm going to say, sorry, Professor, got anything, Henry?
No, nothing really coming up. I mean, as always, you can catch me as Kraken0, that's ZER0, on Instagram and Facebook, and Nomad HAR on Twitch.
And I guess kind of to close us out this week for all our U.S.-based listeners, happy Thanksgiving, eat some turkey. To everyone else who doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving, happy November 22nd. To our Canadian listeners, we get it. Your Thanksgiving already happened. Shut the hell up about it. We get it. Different holidays happen at different times. But yeah.
No, Thanksgiving hasn't happened because it hasn't happened in America.
Oh, God, motherfucking damn it. Cue the metal.
only